Most Western European cross-border rail services use sleek new multiple unit trains, which are capable of reaching very high speeds, but in today's video I'll be doing something a little different. The rail service between the German and Dutch capitals is a conventional Intercity train, which I'll be on for 6 hours in a private first-class compartment, and of course you'll be coming along too. We'll be travelling from Berlin to Amsterdam on board this classic Intercity cross-border service. Now join me as the journey continues. We'll be starting our journey today at Berlin Hauptbahnhof, the main station serving the German capital. Despite this, the city's, shall we say, checkered past means this station has only been fully operational since May 2006, taking around 10 years to complete its construction and consolidating the traffic from the eastern and western terminals of Berlin Ostbahnhof and Berlin Zoologischer Garten respectively. Berlin Hauptbahnhof's opening was significant in finally providing the city with crucial through services across Germany and beyond, all from one conveniently located central station, acting as a hub not only for long-distance ICE trains, but also for regional traffic and the Berlin S-Bahn. There's always some sort of event or display going on whenever I've had to make a journey from here, and this visit's no exception. I made this journey close to the 2024 Euros tournament, and of course with Berlin being one of the host cities, there's certainly no hiding this around the station. Just a mere 18 days to go, at least when I was here. Berlin Hauptbahnhof operates over several levels. The main and upper level platforms 11 to 16 typically handle east to west connections as well as local S-Bahn traffic, whilst the lower level, or TIEF platforms 1 to 8, mainly accommodate for north to south traffic with various shopping outlets in between. Whilst this would normally be considered quite messy, Berlin Hauptbahnhof is one of the few aspects of German railways able to showcase the country's efficiency, capable of accommodating the 350,000 passengers daily while somehow avoiding to get them incredibly lost and confused. Our train today is the 0806 departure to Amsterdam Centraal station. As the train originates from Berlin Ostbahnhof, we'll be departing from the upper level on platform 13. One thing I should also note is that there's a first class lounge here, however this is only accessible for those on fully flexible first class tickets or with a Bahn bonus status, so I'll have to pass this time given I have neither. I do think the upper level is much more aesthetically pleasing than the lower level of Berlin Hauptbahnhof, though that's to be expected given the latter is underground. You will find a variety of carriers here, such as the infamous Flixtrain and the ODEG, though the main operator of the station is state-owned railway Deutsche Bahn, who operate the Berlin to Amsterdam route jointly with Dutch state rail operator NS, and whilst most of Deutsche Bahn's long-distance routes run under the ICE banner, like this ICE4 operated Cologne service, today's train to Amsterdam is slightly different. Speaking of which, here it comes now, just a few minutes late from Berlin Ostbahnhof. The Amsterdam to Berlin service currently runs under the IC or Intercity banner and is formed of a 200 km/h capable Siemens Vectron locomotive hauling a set of 9 IC1 coaches. The locomotives are leased by NS from European Locomotive Leasing, having been built in 2016 and used by the Dutch operator since 2021, initially hauling night jet services between Austria, Germany, Switzerland and the Netherlands, which I've already reviewed on the channel. NS have since leased further multi-system Vectrons to haul the Amsterdam to Berlin services, replacing the previous combinations of Class 101 locomotives on the German side and Class 1700 locomotives on the Dutch side, meaning there is no longer a time-consuming locomotive change at the border, as we'll see later. The IC1 coaches are provided by Deutsche Bahn and date back to the 70s and 80s, albeit with a modernised interior from the 2010s. Each set has 7 second-class coaches and 2 first-class coaches, and will be in the latter for the near 6-hour journey to Amsterdam today. One thing I don't like about these particular IC1 coaches is that first class is compartment seating only, with each one seating up to 6 people. Whilst this is great for those travelling in groups, this is less than ideal for lone travellers such as myself. It doesn't seem too busy this morning though, so it's not much of an issue for the moment. Our route out of Berlin will see us progressively head west towards the Netherlands, eventually reaching the border town of Bad Bentheim, where we then make our exit from Germany. In the Netherlands, we make several further stops before reaching journey's end at Amsterdam Centraal, with an expected arrival of just before 2 PM, taking under 6 hours to cover the 637km distance. Despite the slightly late arrival of our train, we leave Berlin Hauptbahnhof on time at 6 past 8 AM Central European time. The first part of the journey involves navigating the suburbs of Berlin alongside its regional and S-Bahn traffic. This includes passing through the city's many stations, including Berlin Zoologischer Garten, the former terminus for Western services from places such as Hannover. On the approach to our first stop, Berlin Spandau, we can see an ICE L set which is currently undergoing testing and authorization. These 230km/h fixed formation coaches, built by Spanish manufacturer Talgo, will be permanently replacing the IC1 coaches currently being used on Amsterdam to Berlin services. But given the introduction of these trains as being continuously delayed, who knows when that will be? From December 2025, this route will instead fall under the ICE banner using Deutsche Bahn's newest high-speed train, the ICE 3 Neo. Being already authorised to run in the Netherlands, these will be a temporary replacement until the ICE Ls are approved. Capacity-wise, not a great move, but these are brilliant trains, as I've said on the channel before. Berlin Spandau is located in Berlin's Spandau district, on the southwestern edge of the Spandau Old Town, with the stop here being on a pickup-only basis westbound for most long-distance traffic, including our train. The station here is also home to Germany's longest train shed, measuring at 440 metres or 1,440 feet in length. After leaving Berlin Spandau, we now exit the Berlin area and prepare to enter the Berlin to Hannover high-speed line, which opened in full in September 1998. This line helped reduce journey times between Berlin and Hannover, our next calling point, from around 4 hours to just over an hour, mostly thanks to the majority of the line being rated for 250km/h. However, both our Vectron locomotive and IC1 coaches are only capable of 200km/h, with the faster ICE trains able to fully utilise the line's speed capabilities. Alright, let's take the opportunity to take a look inside our first class compartment. The compartment seats are similar to those you'll find on the older generation ICEs, which are comfortable enough, especially for long distance runs like this one. The winged headrest and cushion also add increased comfort. Foldable armrests are included between the seats and on the aisle end of the last row seat, with there being a recline lever just below this for increased comfort, though given these are all compartment seats you may be limited on space for using this. I was lucky in that my compartment was almost empty for most of the trip, so legroom wasn't an issue whatsoever. The tables feature foldable sections, which are ideal for using when you need to get in and out, or if you need to stay and do some work on a laptop. There is also a 220V power socket below for charging your device should you need. Reservations for the compartment are shown using the electronic displays here, which were fitted to the carriages as part of their 2010s refurbishment. Also retrofitted at some point was air conditioning, which sadly replaces the open windows, which, while safer and less effective, are more fun for the enthusiast. This can be adjusted using the temperature dial just above the compartment door, which can be closed for increased privacy, though that being said, there are no curtains or window blinds by the windows and doors, strangely enough. On each side of the wall, you'll also find coat hooks, which are located just below the overhead luggage racks that are incredibly spacious and will easily hold a large suitcase. Reading lights are located just below these, which sadly do require a bit of reach. There is also a main light switch by the compartment entrance, and the announcements are too loud? Not a problem. Just use the dial next to the light switch to turn down the volume. Despite the seating layout being less than desirable for a first class product, the modernisation done on these coaches is fantastic, and a lot of attention has been put into providing a modern and comfortable ride on Intercity routes. Not bad. We are now passing Wolfsburg, which is indicated by passing the original Volkswagen factory, which has been on this site since 1938, having produced thousands of VW Beetles and even Kurbelwagens during the war. As I previously mentioned, efforts have been made to improve journey times on the Amsterdam to Berlin route, which included eliminating stops along the route, including here, which despite being home to the car giant's global headquarters, is deemed a less popular stop than others on this route. You might be surprised to learn that mobile data in Germany can be quite patchy, which is where the free Wi-Fi comes in. Once connected, this grants access to the Deutsche Bahn portal for onboard entertainment and food services in first class, that I preferred to pass the time by catching up on social media, which was easily doable given the fast speeds offered. As we reach the end of the high-speed line and past one of Deutsche Bahn's workshops, we can see several former bored bistro carriages which did used to be part of this consist, but have since been retired from Deutsche Bahn's roster as of the December 2023 timetable change. As for the current catering situation, well, I'll come back to that a bit later in the video. For now though, we arrive into our first stop outside of Berlin, Hannover Hauptbahnhof, the capital and largest city of the German state of Lower Saxony and the home of the Hannover Fairground, the largest in the world thanks to numerous extensions. For the remainder of the trip to Amsterdam, we'll be on the lower speed conventional lines, however some sections have been upgraded in recent years to allow for 200 km/h running, so our train's maximum speed will still be reached for parts of the journey beyond Hanover. To the right between Bad Oeynhausen and Minden, we can see the 88-metre high Kaiser Wilhelm monument, erected between 1892 and 1896 to honour the first German Emperor William I and is classified as one of Germany's national monuments. Now briefly out of Lower Saxony, we make our first and only call in Germany's North Rhine-Westphalia region of Bunde, which was at one point the centre of the European tobacco industry. The tobacco companies previously located around the station would import the wood for its tobacco boxes, as well as the tobacco itself by rail, hence giving it the name of the Cigar City as shown on some of the station signs. Looking further into the rest of the train, we can see the second first-class carriage is identical to ours, albeit with the seating facing the right-hand side owing to the position it was coupled in. One compartment is also out of use, being reserved for Deutsche Bahn and NS's onboard staff. Now you would expect a similar seating layout in second class, right? Well, nope. This is in an open plan configuration with 2x2 seats in a mostly airline style layout, but you will find some table seats too. You will however find some compartments towards the end of the third carriage, which are dedicated family zones, as you would also find on the top rank ICE services. One thing I should also point out is that the condition of these carriages isn't particularly great. I appreciate they'll be withdrawn soon, but come on, surely make an effort to keep them clean in the meantime, Deutsche Bahn? Anyway, larger luggage storage is present throughout second class, though it appears some people preferred using the dedicated wheelchair space for this for some reason, which, while spacious, isn't much so with all these bags here. The rearmost carriage has a dedicated space for storing bikes, which are payable with a reservation fee of €26.69, but given this train is going to the Netherlands, it's no surprise it was almost full. There are also a mixture of standard toilets on board, as well as an accessible one here which is located next to the dedicated wheelchair space I showed earlier. Unlike the rest of the IC1 coaches, I found this particular toilet to be rather clean overall, in addition to very spacious. There are also coat hooks by the door, with there being an open window as well as a baby changing facility. Following a brief dip into the North Rhine-Westphalia region, we now head back into Lower Saxony to call it its fourth largest city, Osnabrück. The city is now mainly known in the present day for its industry, notably paper, steel, grocery and automobile sectors, with whom many companies are headquartered here. As we continue to cross the German countryside towards the Dutch border, now's a good time to tell you about the catering situation on board this train. As I mentioned previously, the Amsterdam to Berlin Intercity used to have an onboard dining car like you would find on ICE trains. However, owing to their age, Deutsche Bahn retired them at the end of 2023, and consequently you now have to head to the staff area in coach 3 next to first class to purchase any food or drink. I went for a Snickers bar and a bottle of water, with the prices being okay for a train at least. The good news is that this will be returning to the route once the ICE 3 Neo is introduced at the December timetable change, which I'm very much looking forward to. The last stop in Germany for our train is the border station of Bad Bentheim. Back before the Vectrons took over this service, the Deutsche Bahn Class 101 locomotive would be swapped out for an NS Class 1700 locomotive, which led to an extended stop here of around 10 minutes. Nowadays though, we only have a mere few minutes, which is enough time to change crews from Deutsche Bahn to NS. This is thanks to the multi-system capability of the Vectron locomotives, which makes the voltage change between Germany's 15 kV system to the 3 kV system used in the Netherlands almost seamlessly. Almost 15 kilometers after leaving Bad Bentheim, we now prepare to cross into the Netherlands from the German border, and whilst there are no signs to indicate this, your best bet is to either use Google Maps or pay attention to the overhead catenary changes like I did. And welcome to the Netherlands. There are no passport formalities given the journey takes place in the European Schengen zone, which is something I still find incredible about cross-border trains in Europe. Journeys just feel somewhat effortless compared to flying in most cases. Our first calling point in the Netherlands is Hengelo, and on the approach to the station we have a view of the iconic Dutch kooploper, which I will be releasing on the channel in due course, so make sure you're subscribed to not miss the video. In the Netherlands, we don't go nowhere near as fast as we do in Germany. The majority of conventional lines in the country are limited to 140 km per hour, or close to 90 miles per hour, but given how close most cities are to each other, I'd argue whether high speeds are really necessary at all in all honesty. The stop we make at Deventer is actually our last stop on today's trip, and highlights how major issues on the train can be a lot less consequential than flying. Now you would think there would be issues on the German side rather than the Dutch side, right? Well, the script was flipped for this journey as overhead wire issues near Amersfoort mean we have to take a diversion, heading north towards Zwolle before heading back south towards Amsterdam. I actually find it hard to believe I've never made the effort to travel to this part of the Netherlands before. The flat landscape here is very scenic. To summarise, I really enjoyed this ride. Whilst the compartment seating in first class is less than desirable and the removal of the onboard dining car is disappointing, the train from Berlin to Amsterdam was a great experience, and I'm glad to have fitted in a ride on the classic stock ahead of their eventual replacement. It's also great to see Deutsche Bahn and NS making increased efforts to improve journey times, and I really hope that the introduction of the new Talgo sets will improve rather than hinder the positive changes being made. For this trip, I was travelling using my first class Interrail pass, and although it's not compulsory to book a reservation, I paid €5.90 on the Deutsche Bahn website to reserve a seat, as I figured it would be relatively busy. Prices on this route around a few weeks in advance start at €37.99 in second class and €49.99 in first class, which for an almost 6-hour journey is pretty great value for money. Despite the diversion all the way to the north of the Netherlands to get here, we only end up arriving into Amsterdam Centraal 10 minutes late in the end, which in all honesty is pretty good going. Now you've heard from me, I want to hear from you. What did you think of the Berlin to Amsterdam Intercity? Have you rode on it before and what's your experience? Let me know in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like and share it if you did to aid the channel's growth, as well as subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more content such as this weekly. Okay, time to go grab some lunch and enjoy the rest of the day in Amsterdam before heading home later. Thanks so much for coming with me on this trip, and I look forward to bringing you with me on my next one.